Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. If I could just get one or two thumbs up, just to confirm that you can hear me well, that would be great.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am Alicia Bascom, Manager of Corporate Communications here at the FSC, and I appreciate certainly sessions like these where we get to build on one of our key strategic priorities and pillars, that being stakeholder engagement. As we prepare to launch the 2024 AML questionnaire and another specifically for the general insurance sector focusing on risk, I want to emphasize how crucial your engagement is to our operations and our mandate as a commission. Our financial systems are evolving rapidly. I'm sure you can appreciate that, with new business models and products being introduced all the time. Keeping stakeholders like you top of mind is essential, not only for putting the appropriate protections in place, but also to ensure market participants have the information they need to make informed decisions. This is a key priority for us as it directly impacts public confidence and the stability of our financial system. Our 2024 through 2025 initiatives as a body here highlight the importance of expanding stakeholder interactions to enhance our regulatory effectiveness, thereby producing better outcomes. So this questionnaire reflects that commitment, giving us a structured way to gather insights and perspectives from those most connected to the matter at hand. Now, by working closely with our partners and sharing knowledge, we can foster a more stable, resilient financial environment. Our CEO, Warwick Ward, and General Counsel Sade Jemmott will impress on you how your completion of the questionnaires will help us to continue these efforts, building a system that remains transparent, robust, and responsive. Of course, as Manager of Comms, it would be remiss of me if I didn't encourage you to follow us on our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter to stay abreast of this and other developments. Also, we are pleased to share that our new website will be publicly launched on Friday, November 15th. And you'll get some more details on that coming up very soon. The name of the event is FSC 2.0, the event. Discover, engage, innovate. Feel free to visit our website at www.fsc.gov.bb and familiarize yourself with the new layout. You would note that the site is still under active construction, and as such, we anticipate that you will see some more changes in the coming days and weeks. Be on the lookout for the invitation, which will soon be issued. I look forward to seeing all of you and your colleagues and your family on November the 15th. Thank you once again for being here online with us, and thank you for your ongoing support and engagement. We're certainly looking forward to having your valuable input this afternoon. CEO, it's over to you.
Thanks, Alicia. I'll just want to let the public know that it will not only be, the website will not only, just to add on to Alicia's point, the website will not only be updated over the coming weeks, but it will be continuously updated. But we are doing quite a bit of work to ensure that you get as much current information as possible. This evening, I just want to, or this afternoon, I just want to have provide a few remarks. So I'd just like to welcome CEOs, compliance officers, other representatives from our registrants, members of our team's management, and that includes, as Alicia would have mentioned, Sade Jemmott, who is our General Counsel, members of the AML team, and other commission staff, and those who would have, worked hard to put, this session together. So the FSC, the Financial Commission, we always welcome the opportunity to meet with registrants. It's something that we would have always done. But over the next few years or the next few weeks and months, you will see much more of us. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll just take it as a good thing. You'll see more of us because we see it as an opportunity for registrants to share valuable information within, and this is all the sectors that we regulate. And we naturally will want to solicit your collaboration in ensuring that Barbados maintains a record as a sound and investment-friendly financial system. So the global environment in which the credit unions, insurance companies, as well as the securities and financial institutions operate continues to rapidly evolve. And we will see the harmful effects of global risks, and this will necessitate having increased regulatory requirements. These include well-known phenomena such as cybercrime, cyber insecurity, which is, front of mind for a lot of people these days. And obviously that would include us. The use of weapons of mass destruction and the impacts of climate change and extreme weather. In addition, there has been a greater focus on the importance of sound operational risks and sound corporate governance. So as countries move closer to the start of the Financial Action Task Force fifth round of mutual evaluations, and we would have heard that, that is coming up in a couple of years' time. There are constant releases of new developments at each FATF plenary that impact on Barbados. Only recently, more like a few weeks ago, the FATF announced new criteria for countries' eligibility to the grey list. Now, we all know this is the dreaded list which identifies countries with strategic deficiencies in the AML, counter-terrorism, counter-proliferation financial system. As you're aware, Barbados was only until recently on the grey list, and it was in February this year, we were deemed by the FATF to have a more robust or sustained system, and we would have created a significant strides in its AML, CFT, CPF regime. And so much so that we were able to be removed from this grey list. So I just want to echo the sentiments of His Honor Senator, the Honorable Reginald Farley. The opening remarks which he had in, the recently concluded Compliance Unit's Regional AML Conference. I trust most of you would have been there. And so on this occasion, I would want to reiterate, and I think I can speak for everyone here and everyone concerned, that Barbados has no desire at all to return to this grey list. And so with the announcement of June 2027 as the date that Barbados's mutual evaluation in the fifth round, all of us therefore need to ensure that we demonstrate the sustainability of our regulatory framework. These circumstances compel the regulator and the regulated to remain nimble and to adequately respond and to proactively address these matters. At the Commission, we have been engaged in several initiatives to bolster our regulatory oversight, and I'll just name a few. So among other things, the Commission has been engaged in expanding our digitization efforts, infusing enhanced technology, and this is to allow for more efficiency in the provision of our services. And this also includes the ability to assess the data that has been submitted, as well, of course, to find more efficient ways in which you too can submit your information, and to conduct the quantitative analysis that is needed to identify the risk exposures to the various sectors. So this also allows us for better testing of risk scenarios as needed. And I just want to put a little plug here for the joint publication that we do with the central bank, and this is the Financial Stability Report. Within this report, you would see our various stresses or scenarios and to see whether or not our financial system has remained relatively stable, and what are the types of risks that we need to look out for. The other things that we have been doing is, the development and build out of our human resources capacity to provide a much better quality service. And we are starting to see the fruits of that. And hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully, but definitely within the next year or two, we will see, how that has helped the operation of the FSC. So the other things we are looking at is a review of existing processes. So we are doing a little bit of process engineering and re-engineering to ensure efficiency. And this is as a means of providing services, enhanced services to the registrants. And one of the last things that we are doing is the development of service standards. And so again, another survey will be coming out to some of you shortly. And what we are trying to do is that, we want to see our progression along the spectrum, along the way, to make sure that we are hearing you and we are doing what we are supposed to do to ensure that, we are meeting your needs. And, there was some other discussion that I had, if some of you would have been there on Friday at Biba's Global Business Week. So some other things that we are committed to. We continue to review our legislation and to improve the enforcement frameworks as necessary. Many of you are aware that the legislation which we currently operate in is in many instances quite outdated, so we're looking to modernize that framework. And so that in itself is a fairly substantial project. And being that we all have dedicated people to look at that as well. We're also creating a framework to deal with innovative products with the eventual look to form an innovation hub. And finally, you would have seen over the past year and a half too, also there have been a modernization of our guidance documents. And so you will see within the next 2 or 3 years, you will see us, continuously looking at how we're, rolling out our guidance documents to assist you in managing your entities more efficiently, or the risks within your entities more efficiently. And, please remember, of course, that we are only one part of the system. And all that I've mentioned just now, they will require, sessions like today, given that one of our strategic objectives or imperatives is to have enhanced stakeholder engagement. And so therefore we will require to have, this type of we provide and the feedback network or mechanism operating in a smoother fashion. And so our website, which will officially be launched in the 15th of November, as Alicia would have mentioned, provides such an opportunity for us to get that necessary feedback. The other thing that will require is increased collaboration with our system brother regulators and continuous education of the public to assist in reducing the exposure to risk. Therefore, the session today and others soon to come constitute just one of the ways in which we'll pursue our mutual objectives to ensure our financial system continues to be sound. Today, you will learn about the 2024 AML CFT CPF questionnaire. And for some sectors, there will be additional questionnaires, which I've mentioned before, the full completion of which is necessary for Barbados to fulfill its national and international regulatory obligations. The Commission expects your full compliance. Okay, let me repeat it since I have it here in bold print. I expect your full compliance in assisting us to assist you or to assist the financial system to be as robust as possible. We do not wish to burden you with a mountain of questionnaires, although some of you have mentioned to me it seemed like it. We have made efforts to only ask where necessary. Still, I cannot emphasize enough that your timely cooperation in completing and returning these questionnaires is critically important to serve you better. So thank you for your continued participation. I'm heartened to see that so many people have joined and asked to join, this exercise. Without further ado, I turn you over to Ms. Sade Jemmott, as I mentioned before, who's the General Counsel and has overall responsibility for our efforts with AML, CFT, CPF. She will provide more context with respect to today's session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Shadia.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As our CEO would have indicated in his opening remarks, the Commission is embarking on an exciting program aimed at improving the existing regulatory landscape as it relates to the anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing, and counter-proliferation financing obligations of financial institutions under the regulatory remit of the Commission. This initial phase of that program consists of three main pillars. Number one, facilitating increased stakeholder engagement. Number two, updating the institutional risk ratings within our sectors. And number three, revising the scope of the AML CFT CPF obligations of general insurance providers based on sectoral findings. To this end, the Commission, through its AML CFT CPF unit, has identified several tools that we intend to use to execute on these pillars. These tools include the provision of interactive training sessions and clinics to support your compliance, as well as questionnaires, formal on-site inspections, and desk reviews of institutions and informal engagements with the Commission for data protection, data collection, regulation, and supervisory purposes. In the coming days, correspondence will be disseminated to you regarding these initiatives, indicating dates, times, and locations. However, I want to take this opportunity to introduce you to the unit with whom you have been and will be interfacing from time to time. As General Counsel, I have overarching responsibility for the Commission's AML CFT CPF program, and I'm ably supported in this function by consultant Miss Shelley Nichols Hunt.
Good afternoon.
See, good afternoon, Shelley. Senior analyst Mr. Andre Bascom,
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Miss Lisa Niles,
Good afternoon.
and Miss Chantel Belmar, who you will be hearing from next.
Good afternoon.
Legal Officer Miss Malika Prescott, who I've asked to give today's closing remarks. So you'll see her quite soon. And other members of the wider Legal Services and Enforcement Department, Ms. Juliet Aline, our Senior Legal Assistant, Crystal Walcott, our Enforcement Officer, Nia Bino, Analyst, and Christina Eswick, our Tips, Complaints, and Referrals Coordinator. Together, we hope to foster a more collaborative approach of which clear and regular communication is a cornerstone. With this in mind, today's session, though short, is intended to be informative and is designed to take the guesswork out of the questionnaires to follow. Chantal will shortly take you through the structure of each questionnaire, as well as the purpose of each section in each questionnaire. We hope that by explaining the why, you would better appreciate what information is required and how it will be used by the Commission. After the questionnaire presentation, our AML CFT CPF consultant Shelley Nichols Hunt will facilitate a brief question and answer in relation to the questionnaires and related initiatives. We appreciate that you may have other queries or you may wish to comment on other business you have with the commission, but we kindly ask you to confine your questions to the topic at hand. In order to get the most out of today's session, we want to remain singularly focused on the AML CFT CPF program. After our Q&A, you will hear briefly from our regulation and supervision team via analyst Ms. Shante Callender with respect to some key regulatory notices and updates before closing remarks are delivered by Malika Prescott, as I mentioned, and we introduce you to our clinic. We sincerely hope that you're able to stay with us until the end, but if not, a summary will be circulated along with a link to our questionnaires. And also for the benefit of anybody who was unable to join us, we do appreciate that the notice for this meeting would have come on Friday, but we're very happy to see that so many of you have joined us today. Having said all that, I leave you now in the capable hands of Miss Belmar, who will take you through the structure of the questionnaires. Chantal?
Thank you, Sade. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to take you through two questionnaires that the Commission intends to disseminate to you. The first questionnaire is in relation to the anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and countering proliferation financing obligations that each financial institution under the regulatory remit of the Commission has to complete. The second question is in relation to the general insurance sector specifically. So for the first questionnaire, I will refer to it as the AML questionnaire. It consists of 7 components. The first component is the financial institution's information and complexity. As the name would suggest, what this section allows the Commission to gather is a greater understanding of the size, structure, and the sectoral importance of each of your institutions. This section consists of a total of 13 questions. The second component in the AML questionnaire is entitled Products, Services, and the Nature of Clientele. This section contains 9 questions, and they're aimed at providing a holistic understanding of the risks that your institutions may be exposed to based on the types of products and/or services they may offer, as well as the types of clients you may have. The third component of this questionnaire focuses on the knowledge of obligations and risk assessment. Now, it is a cluster of 6 questions, which will be used to determine how well your financial institutions understands the risks it may be exposed to and to what extent you are able to document the said risks and mitigate against them. The fourth component of this questionnaire covers policies and procedures. Now, this is the largest questionnaire. This is the largest component of the questionnaire, and it contains 18 questions. Now, don't be afraid by the quantity of the questions because most of them are already populated with responses and you merely have to check a box with the appropriate response. Now, the aim of these particular questions are to determine to what extent your institution has utilized your understanding of the risks you may be exposed to, and in understanding these risks that you've documented mitigating policies and procedures appropriate to the risks that you've identified. It also allows the Commission to have insight as to how you went about your risk assessment process and whether it incorporates the national AML, CFT, and CPF obligations. The fifth component deals with compliance and reporting function. While this section only contains 5 questions, once it is completed, it provides the Commission with a comprehensive overview of your institution's compliance and reporting functions, which are necessary when conducting Know Your Customer procedures, ongoing monitoring, and internal and external reporting duties. The sixth component is internal controls. These 4 questions are aimed at understanding how your institution measures the effectiveness of the existing policies and procedures you may have in place. To facilitate this, the questions surround your audit function and review functions, which are ultimately responsible for testing the effectiveness of those policies and procedures. The seventh and final component of the AML questionnaire deals with regulatory engagement and declaration. This component is divided into 2 parts. The first containing 8 questions that determine the level of engagement you have with the Commission, and the second component which deals with the signature and contact details for the individual who is authorized to complete this questionnaire on behalf of your institution and an alternate point of contact for your institution. Now, this questionnaire may not seem to be new to most of you, as the Commission would have done this on an annual basis, and most of you would have been aware of the 2023 questionnaire. However, what you would find upon receipt of this questionnaire is that the questions have been tailored slightly in line with the Commission's renewed approach to risk management and regulation. Additionally, in completing the questionnaire, you will find that most questions are tick box related and for ease of completion, and may have drop-down boxes depending on the responses provided. Each institution is required to complete and return the AML questionnaire to the Commission on or before the 15th of November 2024. For ease of completion, the questionnaire will be disseminated in an incognito form, and it will be sent to you at the end of the session. Now, as we move into the general insurance questionnaire, this questionnaire is targeted to the general insurance sector, as would be suggested by the name. It consists of 9 components, and the overall objective is to identify the types of money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing risks, if any, the general insurance sector is exposed to construct a rational framework for the proposed removal of the general insurance sector from the AML, CFT, CPF regulatory regime, and to identify and assess the range of illicit financial transactions in the sector. In doing so, it will provide guidance to the sector in instituting mitigating measures to reduce the likelihood of the sector being used to facilitate money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. Now, the general data scope of this questionnaire will cover the years 2022 through to June 2024. Now, most of you would not be familiar with this questionnaire because it would not have been disseminated before. So this is a new area, but what you would find when I complete the description is that most of the content is known to you and it would not be any strange territory. Now, the first 3 chapters in this questionnaire covers financial institutions information, products and services, and customers. Now, for the institution's information, it consists of 10 questions. The products and services components consist of 17 questions, and the customers component consists of 8 questions. These 3 components collectively, as seen with the previous AML questionnaire, are aimed at addressing the contact information, size and complexity of the institutions, as well as the scope and quantity of products and services offered. It also enables the Commission to determine the ways in which your institutions interacts with or commences business relationships with customers and the varying categories of customers you may hold. The fourth component of this questionnaire deals with your AML CFT CPF risk assessments. It consists of 8 questions, and it provides clarity to the Commission on the parameters that would have been used in conducting your institutional risk assessments and an overview of the findings of said risk assessments. Question Components 5, 6, and 7 of the questionnaire deals with incidences of criminal activities, unusual transactions, and suspicious transactions. Now, collectively, these would assist the Commission in identifying the threats the sector may be vulnerable to, the frequency of said threats, and the procedures to be applied once these threats are encountered and the frequency of which they become actionable or reportable. And finally, components 8 and 9 are the proposed legislative AML CFT CPF framework following legislative amendments, which contains 17 questions, and the perceived risk of ML PF in the general insurance sector, which contains 6 questions. These final 2 components were constructed in such a way to give the sector and to give your institutions the opportunity to let the Commission know in what ways you would adopt your policies and procedures if there were indeed a change to the existing AML CFT CPF regulatory framework. Additionally, it gives you the ability to state how you would view the current sectoral risks and what parameters, if any, should be maintained following legislative changes. All providers in the sector are expected to complete this questionnaire and return it to the Commission by or before the 29th of November 2024. We look forward to your continued collaborative efforts as we strengthen the regulatory regime in a mutually beneficial framework to better serve Barbados and the financial sector. I will now hand you over to Mrs. Shelley Nichols Hunt, who will take you through any questions that you may have and give you the opportunity to get answers to those. Thank you, Shelley. I now pass to you.
Thank you, Chantal. Good afternoon again, everyone. At this time, I've opened the floor for your questions. Okay, could we have the mics unmuted, please, so that you can have the first question?
Hello, good evening. I'm Shelley. Hello, good
Hi, good
evening.
afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Shelley, this is Alison.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask a question in relation to the section of the form that speaks to unusual transactions and suspicious transactions.
This is the AML questionnaire form.
The AML questionnaire, yes, please.
Sure.
So I just wanted, because you've just sort of like just glossed through it, could I see how much detail are you required to go into as it relates to that section? Because a questionnaire like this, I believe it would have to be reviewed and stuff like that before you submit it to the FSC. That would be the right thing to do. So how much detail is that section asking as it relates? Is it just asking for statistics? Is it asking for detail? What level of detail is it asking for? Because I couldn't see.
Okay, I am going to go back to that section on unusual transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there is some component of question relation to whether, more so whether you file STRs with the FIU, but the main place where there are the questions is on the general insurance questionnaire. So let me
Yes.
stop sharing that one, this AML one, and pull up again the one in relation to the general insurance one. Okay, so section F here relates to unusual transactions. So basically, you're looking at what
The numbers.
transactions may have been logged
Yes. Okay, got that.
annually for 2022, 2023, and 2024 up to June 30th,
Okay.
and as well as the number, basically how the FI can classifies transactions as unusual. Have there been any recurring incidents of unusual transactions for the same customers? And basically also to provide the observations regarding the yearly unusual transactions for the FI,
Right. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And also for suspicious transactions, which would be a follow on, then what you would have reported to the FIU for each year.
Right. Okay. So when you say what you would have reported, is that I'm not seeing
Numbers, sorry, the
the
suspicious
numbers.
transaction.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
good.
now section G. And what you
Yeah.
would have
Okay.
reported to the FIU and what the suspicious transaction reports would have related to, and also some demographic in relation to the profile of the individuals for the
Great.
SDRs.
Okay. Good, good. All right. Thank you.
Right? And if there are further questions in relation to not only this area but any area, then we do ask you not only speaking to you, Alison, but the audience in
Right.
general,
Understood.
to be able to reach out to us and to make your appointments with the clinics to ask any additional questions as well that may not be answered here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your questions.
No problem. Thank you.
Do you want to recognize Charmaine Vaughn?
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, Shirley.
Good
So
afternoon.
yeah, so two questions for me. The questionnaire, is that questionnaire refresh, an annual refresh? I may have missed that. You may have indicated that. So that's one. The second question, whether the commission would be open to including a comment section on each section of the questionnaire. Because what I note, a lot of the questions are basically tick box, a yes, no. So you, as an institution, we may want to respond no, but to include a comment. So whether the questionnaire, whether you open to adding comments after a comment section, so we can include any feedback that we would like to include on the while we answer the questions under the questionnaire. The reason for that, when we looked at the cyber security questionnaire that we would have had to submit recently, because a lot of the questions were tick box and they did not have areas where we could have included comments, it sort of restricted you in terms of your response to just a yes no. So just a question whether the commission would be open to including under each section an area for us to put general comments.
Okay, thanks for your question. Are you referring to specifically the AML questionnaire or
Yes, specifically the AML questionnaire.
Okay, so yes, there was a questionnaire issued last year, and there's one issued this year, and I noted that some individuals or entities rather may not have as yet completed that particular questionnaire. When you respond to the 2024 questionnaire, it will cover information for 2023. So you'll be caught there. As far as it relates to the comment section, yes, there is a comment section at the end of every subsection of the questionnaire.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for that question. We wanted to try to make it as easy as possible for you. So hence the tick box. But then we do appreciate that there could be some situations where you may want to add additional thoughts or comments.
Yes. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, just going to the chat. Just starting from the bottom. Sorry, let me start chronologically to be fair. I think the first question is by Shafiq Biko. Is this seminar directed at financial and insurance services only? Seminar is directed to credit unions, insurance entities, and securities. Right? Yes, and Shadi answered that already. As far as it relates to Vicky's question, AML questionnaire for the avoidance of doubt. Does the general insurance sector include reinsurance entities that write general international reinsurance business? Well, the question is specifically directed to the class 2 category of insurance in terms of the domestic general insurance sector. That is a question worthy of note, and we can certainly discuss that in-house, but specifically in terms of the particular queries that we at the Commission have been having has related to the class 2 category of insurances on in terms of domestic insurance side. The next question by Glenn Sobers. Will there be another seminar directed to non-reporting financial institutions, that is broad and narrow participation retirement funds? That will be determined, Glenn, but if there are specific queries or comments or concerns that you may have, do feel free to reach out to the FSC, the Commission, as far as it relates to any particular queries. And with a discussion, then there may be the opportunity for that. But for the time being, if you do have any questions, we'll be able to answer those for you. Thank you very much for your questions. We have a question here by Michael Green. Once questionnaires are completed and submitted, what's the likely timeline for the update of the removal of the general insurance sector and intermediaries from the reporting as mentioned? Well, it's a process. So as far as it relates to the questionnaires, once the responses come in, there has to be research and analysis done from the questionnaire responses to be able to ascertain and provide the justification, if that is there, for the removal, whether in whole or in part, from the AML responsibilities. So that the question is interesting to answer because we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We do know what it is that there are the thoughts within the industry in terms of general insurance being low risk, and we know it's low risk for money laundering. And we know that there are other countries out there who have had exemptions of the general insurance sector, either in whole or in part, for AML responsibilities. But as we take the information, then we can look at it to determine what are the next steps. So that's the best way that we can answer that particular question. Thanks very much for your question. Is the questionnaire also direct to mutual fund administrators, while not being a securities company? Thanks, Sean, for your question. We're looking at securities entities, generally speaking. So what it is that when it is that you answering there, if you find that there are specific aspects of the questions that you think may need to be speak specifically to your mutual fund administrator scenario, please ensure to give those comments in the various subsections so that can ensure that we capture the information accurately and it's relevant to your particular section. Thanks again for your question. Cheryl asks, is the first form for CARICOM institutions? I'm sorry, I'm not sure if Cheryl wouldn't mind unmuting her mic and to be able to ask the question. Is the first form for CARICOM institutions? So if I'm understanding your question correctly, and if I'm not, you will let me know. But the forms, both questionnaires are based and targeted to the registrants of the Financial Services Commission. So as far as it relates to any of the registrants, that's where the applicability lies. So if it is that you have an entity that perhaps may be part of a group, then the question also includes you. That's how I answer that question. Have you got your question correct? If not, you let me know. Okay, thank you. Okay, Cheryl has her hand raised. Good. Cheryl's might be unmuted.
She has the capacity to unmute. So Cheryl, if you want to go ahead, you can just unmute and speak.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, do you still have a query? Okay, so I think Cheryl's question will be answered. Thanks, Cheryl, for your question. Vicky's question, and comment and question. Thanks for your earlier response. We would await further guidance or application for international reinsurance entities that are classes 1 and or 2. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Vicky. And you go on to say, with respect to the 2023 AML questionnaire on the website caption for new registrants, is that the same 2023 AML questionnaire to which you refer? Yes, there's only one 2023 questionnaire currently on the website. That was the previous questionnaire for last year. The 2024 questionnaire, as was stated earlier, as Shanta would have stated earlier, will come out after the session later today, and that will encompass information requested for 2023 as well. Michael, is it on the radar of the team to look at employee benefit products by insurance companies, example, employee medical plan? Okay, so that question is specifically, from my understanding, would be outside the remit of our particular engagement this afternoon, dealing with AML matters. However, we've noted your question and we flagged your question, and either in the comments on general regulatory information, it will be answered then, or we would invite you to also to let us know your entity, perhaps by private message, and we can get in contact with you in relation to specifically answering your question. All right. Alison has another question. She has her hand raised. Go
Yes,
ahead, Alison.
thank you. Thank you. I just wondered, after the completion, the dissemination and completion of the questionnaires, I understand that you will do the FSC will do their internal analysis to determine your next steps and things like that. But is there any intention of like doing a summary, like a report, a thematic review in relation to any findings, any matters of concerns, any guidance as it relates to um, what good practice and what best practice so best practice and bad practice looks like, as you would see being done by other, possibly in other jurisdictions? Or will something like that come out of this exercise, or is this just to guide in the development of your overall approach to supervision of the various sectors that are covered by the questionnaires?
Okay, is your question related to both questionnaires or if it's a
Both,
specific?
yes,
Oh,
to both.
okay, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so in relation to the general insurance questionnaire, the specific purpose is to look at the general insurance sector as far as it relates to the possible carve out or exemption of that sector from AML responsibilities. And I say whether in whole or in part carve out or exemption. As the research analysis is occurring, there will be that trends and, as you said, thematic areas that will come out of the area and be discussed with you, the stakeholders, as well as the entity, General Insurance Association of Barbados, as far as it relates to the particular area, the particular carve out for the particular sector. So that information will come out and it will be shared with the industry. As far as it relates to AML questionnaire, yes, it is part of the regulatory oversight initiatives that we are undertaking at the Commission. At the same time, there will be thematic areas that will come out that will be part of the overall risk assessment of the relevant sectors. Risk assessment of the sectors is a particular initiative we have to engage in, even as we prepare for the fifth round of mutual evaluations. On the general insurance side, the information that we collect will help not only in terms of the potential carve out for the general insurance sector, but also in terms of better understanding the risk assessment generally of the general insurance sector. As far as it relates to AML questionnaire, the information will from there will also help to feed in to the risk assessment of the sectors for risk assessment for securities, insurance, and for the credit unions as well. There will be more information coming in the next few months in terms of risk assessment. We want to ensure that Barbados is preparing from early as far as it relates to our mutual evaluation stated for in the next few years. So that information will feed into that. So thanks for that question. So just going back into the chat, Helga's asking in terms of the reinsurance entities. So I just stated that the particular questionnaire related to the class 2 of insurance entities, specifically the domestic general insurance. And what the comment made by, I think it was Vicky, was stating that consideration should also be given to the reinsurance entities that write general insurance that would relate to either to class 1 and or class 2 categories. So this is something that we will revert on. Sharon is asking, did all licensees receive the request to complete the 2023 questionnaire? As relating to that particular question, I would seek guidance as far as that particular response is concerned. I'm not certain if that would be all licensees. It may not be all licensees based on the risk rating of the entity from previous assessments, but that could be confirmed as I seek guidance as far as it relates to that particular response. We had another question in the chat from Carrie Ann. Can a reasonable turnaround time of at least 2 weeks be given, as some of us have portfolio of licensees that we would be submitting on behalf of? This is in relation to which questionnaire, Carrie Ann, are you referring to? Is it possible Karen could raise her hand and just unmute her mic to answer that question? Just want to make sure to answer your question specifically.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Thanks,
Right.
Carrie Ann.
I came a bit late, so I'm not sure if it was said as to when the questionnaires would have to be submitted. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's a reasonable enough time in the event that we're preparing for quite a number of licensees, the submission date. So you said
So
that the 2024 would be available from today, but I don't know if I saw somewhere that the submission deadline would be the 15th of November or something like that. I'm not sure. So I just wanted
Yes.
to verify when exactly the deadline would be so that we can make the adequate preparations if we have a portfolio of clients to be filing for.
Yes. So for the 2024 AML questionnaire, there is a 2-week period provided, and the deadline is November 15th. And also encourage you again, in the event that any entity would require any assistance in completing the questionnaire, or if there are specific questions you may have, do take advantage of the clinics, the virtual clinics that we made available by contacting the commission. There's a booking link that will come out, and you can make your appointments to ask questions there. And for the general insurance questionnaire, the timeline given there is a month. And so we're looking at November 29th for the submission of that information.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Hi, hello, Marlon. How do the forms apply to self-regulatory organizations, as they do not engage directly with the public, but with other regulated entities that deal with their clients directly? So the forms are geared specifically to registrants in those 3 categories that I mentioned: the insurance, the credit unions, and securities entities. So if there is additional information when you're completing the question, if there is information that may be pertinent or related in terms of answering the question relating to SRO, you can put that information in. But specifically, the questionnaires are for those 3 particular categories of registrants. Brianna's question is, general insurers are required to complete both questionnaires? Yes. Yes. The 2024 AML questionnaire is for all entities, and there's specific questions there related to the overarching anti-money laundering regime, anti-money laundering, counter-financial terrorism, counter-proliferation financing regime, and the specific general insurance questionnaire will ask more specific questions for the general insurance industry. So yes, both. And mindful of that is the reason why there were staggered timelines for completion of the information. Okay, question from Sean. Is the questionnaire deadline applicable to all registrants who have received a license in 2024, or is it applicable to those registrants who have received a license before a given effective date in 2024? We know that the board has a duty to approve the AML policy. Okay, that's a reasonable question. It would relate to all registrants. So if it is that you've only received a license in 2024, then that will be taken into account in the review and analysis of the information that you provide. So it will be a reasonable exercise that will be undertaken based on the circumstances that are before the commission. Okay, thanks for your question. All right. Yes, that's correct. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Shade, for that information in the chat on the deadlines. And yes, and you see General Counsel has, yes, reiterated all registrants are to complete. And you also heard the comments from the CEO in relation to completion, asking, requesting compliance, 100% compliance by all entities, because it's important. We need to capture this information as we prepare for our mutual evaluation and also for sound regulatory oversight practices. Another question by Michael. With respect to AML training and workshops, how can licensees connect with the Commission, AML department on getting assistance with training and refreshers? Okay, well, specifically in relation to AML training and workshops, the obligation is really on you, the FI, in terms of obtaining training and workshops in relation to AML. So you would see that there would be sessions, AML sessions that may have been circulating in the media in Barbados, further afield, that will assist in terms of you ensuring that you obtain and attain your annual obligations for training. If it is that you need specific ideas or suggestion or ways in which you can look in terms of training, you can certainly reach out to your industry colleagues, and you can certainly reach out to us at the Commission in terms of answering that particular question. We'll be able to provide information. So for example, we have and the Commission is not to necessarily state a preference for any one particular training, but in the AML space, there is International Compliance Association, there is Associate Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, there is Compliance Sade, there is, I'm sure if we could open up mics, several persons on the call will be able to provide suggestions. So there be there. There are also sessions through the Compliance Professional Association. So there are various means that you can have sessions. Some are free and some would be at a cost. Thank you for your question. Okay, thanks very much, Shade. Shade has answered the question. In terms of Sharon's question, did all registrants received the 2023 questionnaire. And Sade says the 2023 questionnaire was targeted at high-risk entities and new registrants. Thank you very much, Sade. However, all registrants are being asked to complete the 2024 AML questionnaire. Thank you. When will the 2024 questionnaires be available for completion? They're to be sent out later today. Will FIs receive them directly via email from the FFC, or do we download from the website? They'll be sent out within the next 24 hours, and both options will be provided. Thanks, Shadi. Great. You're welcome. Are there any other questions? If not, we thank you very much for your questions. We've noted them and we appreciate them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shelley, for taking us through that Q&A. We now invite analyst Miss Shantae Chandler to share with you, since you're all assembled here and attentive, some key regulatory notices and updates on behalf of the Commission. Shantae?
Thank you, Shadi, and good afternoon, everyone. So we just have 3 key updates. The first one is our annual registration period for entities. So the deadline for all registrants to remit payments to the Commission regarding their annual registration fee is January 31st, 2025. In prior years, registrants under the credit union sector were to remit the annual fee payment by March 31st. However, for the upcoming registration period, credit unions are also expected to remit their annual registration fee payment by January 31st. And of course, we will issue an official notice to all credit unions regarding this change in the remittance of their fee payments. Our second update is based on cyber incident reporting. Financial institutions under the Commission's purview are required to report all reportable cyber incidents to the Commission. The Regulatory Division is in the process of distributing a notice to our registrants outlining examples of reportable incidents and providing instructions for the completion of the cyber incident reporting forms. So you can expect to receive this notice during the month of November. And just to preempt the notice a bit, I will also like to point out that unsuccessful attempts of cyber incidents should also be reported to the Commission. Lastly, I want to touch on the FSC issued guidelines. Over the last year, the Commission has engaged its registrants to consult on our fit and proper, CFT, and cyber guideline. The consultation process is now completed, and we anticipate that these guidelines will be gazetted during the month of November. So similar to this consultation process, registrants can also anticipate the Commission's rollout of its market conduct and material change guidelines, which are also being issued for consultation. So this brings me to the end of my update, and I now hand over to Malika.
Good afternoon again, everyone. As we conclude today's AML CFT engagement, I would like to take this opportunity to reflect on some key takeaways. Firstly, further to its obligation as a regulatory body for the non-bank financial services sector, the Commission intends to foster a more collaborative approach with clear and regular communication as the cornerstone, which will assist in enhancing our stakeholder engagement goals.
Sorry, Malika. We seem to be having some challenges hearing you. I think you may need to adjust your
better now?
mic. Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. Good afternoon again, everyone. As we conclude today's AML CFT CPF engagement, I would like to take this opportunity to reflect on some key takeaways. Firstly, further to its obligation as the regulatory body for the non-bank financial services sector, the Commission intends to foster a more collaborative approach with clear and regular communication as the cornerstone, which will assist in enhancing the stakeholder engagement goal. This means that there will be more frequent sessions like this one on various aspects of the compliance programs, and we look forward to your continued participation. Secondly, there are two types of questionnaires that will be disseminated within 24 hours. These questionnaires are important as they provide the Commission with valuable data to assess individual exposure to AML, CFT, CPF risks, and additionally to facilitate in an assessment of risks on a sectoral level, like the General Insurance questionnaire. Thirdly, the Commission will continue its on-site and off-site supervision of the industry through desk-based reviews and on-site examinations on a risk basis. And lastly, in an attempt to support a faster, more insightful response to our questionnaires, we will be introducing AML CFT clinics between now and the 15th of November. During these clinics, you will be afforded one-on-one time with members of the AML CFT team to address any challenges you're having. We have structured these clinics as self-booked 30-minute appointments, and we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to clarify what the Commission expects of you and your individual compliance programs. We cannot stress enough how important this collaboration and your compliance is to the reputation of our jurisdiction, the continued success of the financial services sector, and to Barbados' success in the 5th round of mutual evaluations. Experience has showed us that collaboration and compliance are key to successful mutual evaluations. The Commission will therefore make itself available to you, and we encourage you to use this facility to support the timely completion of the questionnaire discussed today. So the AML questionnaire is due on November 15th, and the General Insurance questionnaire is due on the 29th of November. I wish to also express my heartfelt thanks to our CEO, Mr. Ward, our General Counsel, Ms. Jemmott, our communications team, our AML CFT team, and our regulatory team, represented by Shante Chandler, as well as our participants. Your valued contribution to this exercise and your experience and engagement have made this session a very meaningful one. As we go back to our respective duties, I want to emphasize the importance of the 2 C's, compliance and collaboration, as we strengthen the regulatory regime and develop a mutually beneficial framework to better serve Barbados. So thank you once again for your attendance and attention, and we look forward to engaging with you individually via our upcoming AML CFT clinics. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us, especially on such short notice. We hope that we were able to answer as many of your questions as possible. And if there are any other burning issues or queries that you have, please feel free to reach out to the Commission. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.
Take care.